Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa. You know, we love the Jefferson Highway. We've been doing some travels on it. We've traveled on it before, not knowing we were on the Jefferson Highway. Then our friend Arlene Gould, who runs the Natchitoches Convention and Visitor Bureau in Louisiana, said, girls, you better get on it. And we did. And literally, whatever Arlene says, we do. And she introduced us to Roger Bell, who is the president of the Jefferson Highway Association. And we had the pleasure of actually meeting him this year, which was very, very cool. And so we do this show every fourth Thursday talking about this highway. This is an iconic highway. It was started in 1915, and it runs from Winnipeg, Canada, down to New Orleans. It's the first of its kind. It's international because of Canada. And it was started by the editor of the Better Homes and Garden magazine. So we like that. And he understood that all these farming communities on the highway could do better if they welcomed visitors into their area. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Historic lodgings on the historic Jefferson Highway. So our first guest we got to bring on the show, we've got three amazing lodging guests joining us. This is incredible. But we've got to welcome Roger Bell, the president of the Jefferson Highway Association, back on the show. And everyone, I'm going to have everyone's links for the hotels and the Highway Association and Natchitoches in the show notes. But go to jeffersonhighway.org because you'll learn more about the lodgings and conferences and all kinds of good stuff. So welcome back, Roger. How are you?
Thanks, Lisa. I'm doing good.
Good.
Awesome.
So, Roger, you are on the highway. You're in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and we got to visit. And you guys have, I think, one of the coolest signs for the highway with all the different miles markers up there.
Yeah, we like
and
that.
You have guitars all around your city, which is cool.
That's awesome.
It didn't feel like a city to me, though.
No, you just want to stop everywhere and go in because you see the guitar and you go, wow.
I know.
You know, whose guitar is this? You know, you could make up Stevie Ray Vaughan's got to be there. He's got to be in one of those.
You know, he stopped by Muskogee at some point, didn't he?
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, we're at the site of the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame. So we like our music here in Muskogee.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Roger, we're going to talk about lodging today, so I'll get back to that with you. But Nancy and I are back in the Boston Mountains of Arkansas, near, right outside Fayetteville, Arkansas. So when we talk about the highway going from Winnipeg to New Orleans or New Orleans to Winnipeg, when you look at the map, and you have the best map on your site, jeffersonhighway.org, that is basically whenever I get anywhere near the highway, it tells me where to go. Literally, it like almost hijacks my phone. It's like, you're near the highway. This is where you need to go. You must stay on the highway. But so I encourage people to go there. But there's when you get to Arkansas, it gets a little interesting because you have all these lines. So where we are is kind of part of what was to be or wanted to be part of the highway.
Yeah, the Arkansas was one of the states that fought for the route early on, and my home state of Oklahoma basically beat them to the punch and got the highway, and they were not very happy for a while. But in the 1920s, they kept fighting, and they eventually created what was called the scenic route. So this went through, the Arkansas mountainous hills area, and the route would be fairly close to what we would know as later on would be Highway 71 in Arkansas. And it's a fun route to take. We have had a few people looking to drive portions of that route, and at some point in time we may even do some type of event over there to look at that. But it was a shorter period of time that it was used. But it later on became a pretty important tourist scenic route based on
it's beautiful
routing.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful drive, and encourage people to do it. And we've done part of that. And like we would never have known that if we weren't doing this show. So everybody, we do this every fourth Thursday. So keep up with us at bigblendradio.com for that. So now I want to bring in our partner in crime, Arlene Gould, who got us into
Mhm.
the rabbit hole of what is the Jefferson
Yes.
Highway, because now we can't pull out. We're totally
So
we're
cool.
besotted with the highway. I don't know how we're going to feel going off of it now. Like we're going to actually have to head off the highway, and now we might have a problem. But we're coming back to Natchitoches soon, so we'll feel better. But welcome back, Arlene. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on the show tonight to talk
Hey,
about the historic lodging on Jefferson Highway.
yeah, and so you actually share the street with our first lodging guest, right? Jefferson Street. In a way, well, Front Street, Jefferson isn't all kind of the same in my
Well,
mind.
it is. In Natchitoches, when you turn onto Jefferson Street, it turns from Jefferson Street into Front Street for about 5 blocks, which is the main brick street downtown in the historic district. And then from there, it turns into Washington Street. So it's really 3 streets, but all of it is the Jefferson Highway coming through,
Cool.
downtown Natchitoches and through the historic district of Natchitoches. So
All along Pain
yeah,
River Lake, which is beautiful.
Mm.
And
yeah.
Natchitoches, the historic downtown is fabulous. And I encourage you to go to the website, natchitoches.com. And how I say it and how it's spelled are 2 different things. So it's natchitoches.com. Natchitoches.com is the site to go to. Like I said, everything is linked in there. But Arlene, I think Nancy and I really bowed down for you introducing us to the highway, since we've been doing a lot of it. And we've had a ball, haven't we, Nancy?
Oh, it's fun. There's parts of it that remind us of Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and there's parts of us that remind us of so many places we've been around the world. And I take my hat off to the farming communities, and I don't know. We had a ball. We every time we saw a sign, it was pull over.
Yeah, we didn't get very far. It took us 3 days to go 10 hours, a 10-hour
Yeah.
drive. So I'm just saying, and we never got to our destinations really until we
Yeah.
had to. And then we're like, oh my gosh, we have to
Uh-oh.
stop this road trip right now. Otherwise we're going to be late. And we also needed to go get a hotel. So let's bring up our next guest, Bridget Matwire. Bridget is at the Steel Magnolia House Bed and Breakfast in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And this is iconic. The movie Steel Magnolias. It's been out for over 30 years, that movie. And the story actually is based out of Natchitoches. They even have the Steel Magnolias film trail. They have a Natchitoches film trail. This is really quite an amazing place. You can go to their website, steelmagnoliahouse.net. And I mean, we've been by there going, we want in, but they're always busy. So to have Bridget even on the show here today, I'm like, Bridget, welcome. And thank goodness we actually get to hear from you. It's so, you guys are the iconic, I think you're that little North Star that everybody keeps going, we want in there. We want in there. It's this exclusive place. So welcome. How are you?
Well, great. Thank you, ladies, for having me. I really appreciate this. This is amazing. Thank you.
Well, I think the Steel Magnolia House is pretty amazing, but it didn't start off as a bed and breakfast, right? So, or a movie set.
Or movie set. Absolutely. It did not. When it was first built in 1840, it wasn't even a house. It was a store.
Oh, cool.
Wow. So is this at the same time as the Caffrey Frederick Mercantile was being built up too? Because that's the oldest general store in the state of Louisiana, right, Arlene? I think I'm getting it. Got to be right here.
But Catholic Fredericks opened in 1863, and it's the oldest continuous operating store in the state of Louisiana. So Catholic Fredericks opened in 1863 downtown, and has been open since 1863.
Wow! And everyone, Natchitoches is the oldest city. It is the oldest city in Louisiana.
A lot of people don't realize the Steel Magnolia House, as beautiful as it is, and for all the modern amenities, you could not tell it was built in the 1840s. Trust me,
Mm.
it's beautiful. It
The
doesn't look like it was
1840s.
built in the 1840s.
Well, and I
Wow.
think the thing to think about is think about that 1840s.
Yeah.
That's getting, we're
That's
not far
old.
away from 200 years old, so that's,
Bridget, we're not talking about
Yeah.
you. We're talking about the house. It's old.
Oh, yes, I understand. I am so
Oh.
proud of that house. I'm so proud of that house.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
man.
proud to
Wow.
be part of it and proud to work there. Yes.
It's awesome. I want to move on and introduce our another guest, our next two guests. And then I think this is so cool because the Jefferson Highway annual conference was held in Mason City, Iowa, a place that Nancy and I keep like, we need to go and spend like a week, I think, because there's so much. We spent a lot of time in Natchitoches and then Alexandria. The first time we went to Natchitoches, I think was 2013 or 14, Arlene. And I remember,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, and we also went to Alexandria. And I remember driving by the hotel, and I think it had just kind of reopened, the Hotel Bentley in Alexandria, Louisiana. And Alexandria has got an international airport. It's got so much history, military history, that even connects up to Natchitoches through Kisatchie National Forest. You hear about the Louisiana maneuvers in World War II. This is where it all kind of connected, and things went down. And they've got Fort
Mhm.
Polk down the road, like, you know what I mean? Things were going on. So I want to welcome Martha Turner onto the show from Hotel Bentley in Alexandria. You can go to their website, visit hotelbentley.com. So welcome, Martha. How are you?
I am great this evening. How are y'all this evening?
We're doing good. And you said y'all. It's our favorite thing. That's
Yeah, we
awesome.
love
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Y'all.
So,
South,
so
that's y'all.
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 So am I right that it was constructed by Joseph Bentley? He started in 1907, but it was, opened in 1908, right? But here we are in Arkansas, but he got inspiration from Little Rock, which is interesting.
He
But
did.
he
did,
somebody
and
said no to the Ice House Hotel. He wasn't allowed a room, and this like basically ticked him off. And he said, "I'm opening a hotel then," because someone said you can't have lodging in our hotel.
Well, that's similar to it. So what it is, he came from Pennsylvania, and when he came down, he was working actually in the Bentley area, which is just north of Alexandria, about 30 miles. And he had come down, they were working in the timber and everything, because timber was very abundant at that time. So he came down, he wanted to work late, get up early, start, early. And so he decided to go to a local hotel here in Alexandria, and they refused him service because he was dirty and did not have on a dinner jacket. And that embarrassed him. So he had a little bit of a personality, which I like. And he basically told them what they could do, and he would build his own hotel, which he did. So he picked out an area on DeSoto. I know, it's so cool, right?
That's so
So he
funny.
picked out an area in the downtown area, which is on DeSoto, 3rd Street, and also Main Street, which back then was 2nd Street, and Jackson Street. And at that time, it had a grocery store and 2 houses on it. So he had to buy them out because that was the perfect location for him to be able to see the banks and see the river. And so he went ahead and came out, and he started the preparation for Hotel Bentley. So he went off of the architect George Mann from Little Rock, Arkansas. So we did copycat a little bit of the Capitol Hotel in Little Rock.
Right.
So it took them several years to put it together. But we are very sturdy. We're built and opened in August 10th, 1908. So we're still going. We're very strong. It's awesome. Total
That's
lots
cool.
of history.
And Martha,
Wow.
didn't he build a place for himself that he lived in the hotel?
Yes, he did. He actually lived on the 2nd floor at the Hotel Bentley. And today we call it the Claiborne, the Livingston, and the Beauregard, and we call it the Commander's Trio. And we do a lot.
Ooh, this is fascinating. I want to move on to our next guest because it's interesting about the timeline, and I do want to get back to Steel Magnolia's history too, and the history of the Steel Magnolia Bed and Breakfast. But I want to welcome our next guest on up in Mason City, Iowa, and Alexandria is the next destination for the annual conference for Jefferson Highway. This is why it's so cool today, having the first 3 members of the Lodging Association, with Roger and Arlene we'll talk about in a bit. But we've got Melissa Leach joining us from the Historic Park Inn in Mason City, Iowa. Go to historicparkinn.com. And I believe 1908 was the year for this, wonderful hotel as well. So welcome. How are you, Melissa? We can't hear you. Are you there?
Hello. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Okay, great. Great. So
I
yeah,
am great. Thank you for having me.
okay. Oh, we're excited to have you here because I know Arlene and Roger have been to the inn, and but this is a really interesting story too, because this is, if I'm right, the last remaining hotel in the world, not just this country, the entire world, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Wow.
Designed and built as a hotel, correct? Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
design is built as a hotel. Okay, because that's an important thing. Because that also had didn't it also have to be near a bank, as I recall? That he did there's something banks were a
Something
big
about
deal.
banks.
Actually, the
Ooh.
last conference was held in the old City National Bank that Frank Lloyd Wright had designed. So that's where their last conference was held, which is now our ballroom.
Oh,
That's where
cool.
that's where we had all of our banquet and our a lot of our activities were in the former bank property. So
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
And
This is
I just
amazing.
want to say, it was totally awesome, and I enjoyed my stay every moment. I'm a hotel person. I don't know about y'all, but I worked in hotels and I love traveling, and so I really enjoyed my experience there.
Yeah,
Cool.
this is amazing because you've got 27 rooms, right? Which is kind of that middle, that is in style, like to have that kind of number of rooms. I mean, why did they say, okay, 27? Like because numerology is interesting in regards to hotels. Like you can't have 13th floor, you can't have this number on rooms, different cultures have different beliefs, but why 27? That's just an interesting number. Like, is it just the layout?
When Frank Lloyd Wright designed it, there was 42. However, there was not private bathrooms. And today, everybody wants to use their own restroom. So there is 27 today.
Oh, wow. And from what I hear, it's like each
Oh my
room is
gosh.
different from the other. So it's not like cookie cutter in the room.
Correct. Every room is
Nice.
different. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Wow.
I like
Arlene, did you have a view from your room? Like, did you, when you were in your room, you go to get in bed and you look around, did you like say hi to Frank Lloyd Wright? I want to know if you talked to him while you were
You
in
know
there.
what? I had a view of the park across the street, and I'm telling you, and I was on the second floor, and I had easy access to the terrace. And every night I was sitting out there just enjoying every minute of it. And one night
Frank Lloyd Wright's across the. You can see Frank Lloyd Wright right out your window there. He's in the in the park.
No, I tell you what, Mason City was just breathtaking with all the art and sculptures, and just it was really a great and wonderful experience to be there.
Wow.
So,
See, I would talk to him.
Maybe Frank Lloyd Wright kind of owns all the properties that he designed at night when nobody's really noticing.
But because I find it interesting too, because he was also, his history of like, it's my way or the highway kind of thing. Like, seriously, I know we're on the Jefferson Highway, but it's my way or the highway. And in his design, if people went up
He
against,
had a strong personality.
he had a very, I mean, we stayed at a bed and breakfast, and he designed the house next to it, and he had an apprentice, and he basically told her, like, do it yourself, I'm out. And he just walked off the job, and that's it. And then there's one in Springfield, Illinois, the Dana Thomas house. And that woman, like, she said, well, I'll write you more money. And then he kind of gave in a little bit, like, I want this. And so he messed with her too. Like, once it was the unveiling of the house, he changed the furniture to something she didn't want. But she's like, you got your room the way you want it, but I'm not giving you all of it. Like, he's a character. So Melissa, does that come through in the hotel at all? Like, his personality? Do you have any records of him being like, this is my thing? I know it's a national historic, landmark and all of that, but does that personality, or I shouldn't even bring it up. I don't know, but he's an artist,
And a lot of the, you don't really have all the built-ins and things that we do. There is another Frank Lloyd Wright house about 6 blocks down the road from us that you definitely see that spirit, if you will, of Frank, that everything, a lot of stuff that's built in so that you couldn't move it because he wanted it where he wanted it. So
Exactly. He did that to that lady's furniture. She's like,
That's
no,
funny.
you're not, like, your furniture is built in, like literally
Yeah.
built into
Yeah.
this house.
I
It's a
love
state
it.
park now, which is cool. But I think this is so cool that, the highway has, 3 iconic hotels. And I want to go back up to Bridget over at the Steel Magnolia House, because going back to this being, it's like 1841, like we were talking about. So this was like, here we have this structure for the Steel Magnolia House. The bed and breakfast now was, hey, we're having a shop, but then it was a hospital during the Civil War. And then there's all these things, like it could have been used as the Underground Railroad. I mean, we're talking some serious
Yes.
history here.
Yes, it is. And to have the Taylor family own the home changed it and developed it from a store to a beautiful home that it was today, to use it in a movie is strictly amazing. I don't know where to begin, because it's just all surreal the way it happened, how the Taylor family purchased the store, moved the house back from the street because it was originally sitting on the curb. So they moved it back to where it sits today.
Wow.
Sat 4 stories, and it still sits 4 stories today. So we do have a sub basement in the home.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Was known to be used and during the Civil War or during the war as taken over as a hospital, and then was used, rumored to be used as the Underground Railroad, and then Mrs. Taylor just transforming into a beautiful home that it is today.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that you said that reading on your website, and everyone at steelmagnoliahouse.net, you have on there that they named it Pilgrim's Rest, which we actually went to a place in South Africa. It was actually a graveyard called Pilgrim's Rest.
Yeah.
And it's in the Cape and on the Western Cape. And it's a deeply moving place with mist, and it's just really, you have to go there to experience it. But I remember it from a kid,
Yeah.
because it's one of those places that leave an imprint on you. And I've not heard that term for a while, Pilgrim's Rest. So that's interesting that they named it. Like, that's kind of, because Pilgrim was a big name over there. So I suppose with all the multicultural history that Natchitoches had, they kind of, they're part of that, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is peaceful and restful, even though it sits almost in the middle of downtown in that busy street, busy Jefferson Street and Front Street is very peaceful and quiet when you're on the property and in the home. Yes.
It's beautiful too. You have so many flowers around it. Like, don't you open it up for people during the fall and some of the there's like those home tours that happen in fall and Christmas? Like once in a while, I think in the past.
They have had it. Yeah, it's been on tour. It's it's not open daily, only on special occasions. Like when we have a fall tour or Christmas tour, it might be selected to be one of the homes on tour.
Very cool. I mean, 'cause I remember it from years ago, I think. Arlene, while we're talking about this is Steel Magnolia story, do you want to give everyone just a little insight about how close to home that is for Natchitoches? Steel Magnolias is not a Hollywood production. I mean, it's Hollywood came to Natchitoches.
It was based on a true story of a resident, Susan Harlan. Her brother Robert Harlan wrote the story after her death, and he actually graduated from Tulane Law School down in New Orleans, and he didn't want to be a lawyer. He wanted to go to New York, so he after his sister passed away, he wrote that story in 10 days as a way to deal with his grief.
Wow.
And as we all know, it turned into a blockbuster to this day. As a matter of fact, this summer we're celebrating the 35-year anniversary that the movie
35?
was filmed in Natchitoches. It was filmed in Natchitoches 35 years ago.
Oh, that's it. I'm making an armadillo cake. It's happening. I am baking an
We're
armadillo
gonna do
cake.
it. We're gonna do it. I know how to do it.
Oh,
I got
maybe
it
we'll do it.
figured
We'll
out.
do it with you, Arlene. We're coming down to
That's
Natchitoches.
too
We'll do an
funny.
armadillo cake. Yeah,
But
that's our
so
Thanksgiving.
Steel Magnolias is near and dear to our hearts, and I always tell Bobby, he wrote that story to keep his sister's memory alive, and and that's exactly what we're doing, because people come in our office often, every week, just excited to be here in Natchitoches, and to see the filming sites, and so yeah, based on a true
There's
story.
even a park.
So,
There's even a park, and
yeah.
it's close to the Jefferson. You got a park for the Jefferson Highway, which is right, basically almost catty corner to Steel Magnolias, the bed and breakfast. Bridget, how are guests like? Are they like just excited to sleep on a movie set and then going, wait, there's a lot more history here beyond the movie? Like, that
Yes.
experience?
Yeah, it is. It is truly wonderful. I always tell my guests I feel like I'm working for Disney World for women, and then because they're making their dreams come true. We have moms and daughters named Shelby's and granddaughters named Shelby coming in and seeing the house and sleeping there. But it's funny because a lot of men come bringing their wives, thinking they're just doing a great thing. I'm fulfilling my wife's dream. I'm getting some brownie points, and they leave the house even bigger fans than their wives came in, because they love the history, they love the sisterhood, just to be there and to have everybody sit at the dining room table in the morning for breakfast, and they all have one common thing, is the movie, and they're all talking about the movie, and it's just gives me chill bumps. And then they start talking about, what'd you do last night in Natchitoches? Where'd you eat? Where'd you go to do that? What did you see? Did you go to Cafe Frederick's? What'd you buy? And it's just amazing.
Listen, when are you opening the beauty shop? Because I feel like I have to get my hair and nails done before I come.
Yeah.
Like, I'm serious. That has to happen.
We don't have, I don't know, Arlene, do we have Trudy's is no longer with us? I don't think, but we do have
we no longer have Trudy's. But we have the Magnolia Spa downtown on Front Street, which is pretty much the
there we
next
go.
thing.
Well, I'm just saying the inn needs someone's got to do my hair before I stay. Somebody needs to do my hair no matter what. That has to happen. But this is fantastic.
Nancy, just the guests, they all sit in the den and watch the movie in the actual house where it was filmed, and they just can't believe they're sitting in the same room where some of these scenes were taking place. And it's kind of like a very moving experience, and it's like you can almost feel, the emotions of the family and what they went through. I had a girl recently tell me, she says, I hated that movie. And so I wasn't taken by surprise, but I asked her why. She was a young woman. She says, it made me cry so much. I said, well, did you laugh too? She said, yeah. I said, well, that's what a good movie's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
So she was just so emotional. I hated that movie. And I said, why? She said, because it made me cry.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
But Steel Magnolias it's a family story, and it shows the good, the everything. It's one of those. It's a classic, and I'm just saying, movies made back then were the best. I'm just saying. But anyway, I'm just kidding, but I am saying it. I want to go to Martha Turner back at Hotel Bentley in Alexandria. Yeah, I see Arlene knows Alexandria, Louisiana, and you can go to visithotelbentley.com. I want to move up with some of this history of the Bentley, because here's this, huge hotel that was built. It was over 80 rooms, right? He started getting industrious with this. But then I talked about the Louisiana maneuvers earlier, and it like you had some generals stay there, like you're Fort Knox in a way,
I know.
I know, isn't that amazing? But that's
That's so
how
cool.
they ended up adding on so many different rooms because of the Louisiana maneuvers. And we actually have a room that's on our lobby level. And today we call it the forum, but back then it was the war room. And that's where all the generals would come in, lieutenants, and they would have maps on both ends of the room. And that's how they would decipher how to bring the troops in, be the most effective, so that our gentlemen would come out alive. So it's just amazing at the history that we have there.
What was it? Do
Cool.
any of you know what was it that I really want to do an entire show on the history of Louisiana and the Louisiana maneuvers in World War II. Was it the mud? What was it that they started? What was it, Fort Polk? Why did they choose this area? Because Alexandria is also interesting. Like if you go to the airport, you have all those historic planes, and some of them have like, jaw mouths and, like jaws, like shark mouths. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm jaws. I'm in
Actually,
movie
the way
land
that
now.
they came by, the way they came by bringing the maneuvers to the Alexandria, Central Louisiana, Manny, towards East Texas area was because of the terrain, of the pine trees and this and that. And they were cutting down so much timber, which had to do actually again with Joe Bentley, and it just kind of looked a lot like over in Germany. So it made it to where it was easy for them to come in and train, to where the terrain over in Germany was very familiar. So that's how they came by doing the Louisiana maneuvers in Louisiana. They also had a Louisiana maneuvers also in Tennessee, but Louisiana, I'm understanding, is more productive.
You go, girl. But
I know, huh?
But when you think about it, when you go to Kisatchie National Forest, it is different.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember
is.
telling Arlene, we're going to go there at sunrise, because I'm like one of these people, we have to be in the park before sunrise so we can watch everybody come to life, animals, sunrise. And she's like, okay, go ahead. And there was like, it's different because of all the trees. And, we come out of the desert. Okay. We're from the Southwest and we're like, oh, well, this is different. And then we saw some pigs or hogs or whatever. We got caught in a rainstorm. We had the most fun. We had so much fun. But being in there, I get it what you're talking about.
That does not sound like fun.
No, it was fun. We had a blast. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We had wine on
too
top
much
of
fun.
what Louisiana calls a little Grand Canyon on these two buttes, which I call the two big butts of Louisiana because they're buttes, butts, whatever. Sorry. But you can sit up there. And we hiked up there, and Nancy and I were sliding in the mud like pigs.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got rained on. Arlene's trying to message us. There's a storm. We're like, really? We're washing our butts off in it. It's all good.
Wait, ladies, did you not get in touch with like Jim Caldwell with the Kisatchie Forest to get a tour so you knew what you were doing, or?
Well, no, we just went on the little leaf trail. We went on the little long
y'all
leaf
are
trail.
crazy.
We just did the little family walk, but it got interesting. But it was
A little bit interesting.
It was beautiful, and it was one of my favorite experiences of Natchitoches ever. But we've also been to your side down. There's Lake. Oh, I don't want to say Kisatchie. It's Lake. It's with a K though. Oh,
Like Kincaid?
sorry.
Kincaid.
Yeah, Lake Kincaid. We went to the oyster house there. The oyster house.
That's tons of fun.
Yeah,
That's
Tunk's,
fun.
Tunk's Oyster House, Tunk. And he took me out into, I went to go take photos, and he's like,
it's awesome. It's right there on Kincaid Lake. What?
He's still going?
There, ladies.
He's still there?
Oh, yes. Oh, my
Awesome.
God.
Oh, my
Oyster Boy is awesome.
We had fun. They had music. He took me around.
Yeah.
I went to go photograph the cypress house, or the actual oyster house from the other side. And he's like, "You're not walking over there. There's cottonmouths and gators." I'm like, "Come on." He's like, "No, I'm going with you." And he got mad because we're allergic to seafood, and they had to make new things for us, but they did, and it was delicious. We had a wonderful time. Alexandria is awesome, and I love that you're next to Natchitoches.
Great.
It is awesome. So, man, all right. So we got some military history. I'm going to go back to Melissa. Wow. So you don't only have a hotel. Apparently, you have food. You've got a whole bunch of that going on too in this hotel. We can go downstairs, and Anthony Bourdain may change his mind about hotel food. Like this is a different deal, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? You've got a tavern. You have a tavern.
Cool.
We have an American tavern on site up on
Dude,
the
yes.
main level when you walk in. We have a brand new chef, Jesse Holmes. He is amazing. Definitely will change your mind about hotel food for sure. And then on the lower level, we have the Draftsman. But back in 1910, it was the Gentleman's Lounge. So we have the Draftsman down there where you can shoot some pool on the 1914 pool table we have down there, and have some great cocktails. Or you can sit up on the balcony on second floor by Arlene's room and watch Central Park.
Arlene, what did you do
And
when
drink
you
your
got in
wine.
Central Park? Yeah, talking to Frank. Yeah, I know Arlene.
You can also take a tour there, right?
Oh, can you? So
Yeah.
regular, we can walk in and do you have it like a schedule or what? How does that work?
It's through Sunday, 11:30 and 1, except Saturdays is 11:30 only. And they take you through the building. It's really interesting. They tell you what's original, what's not, how they found it. A lot of history and amazing people in Mason City that came together to restore this hotel to its glory, for sure.
So
I want to go
find
back
it
to the
amazing.
cocktails. No, I do. I want to know if any of your cities have a steel magnolia.
Oh, well, you're in Mason City right now.
Yeah.
So do you have cocktails in a mason jar? Oh, sorry. That's lame. But-
No.
We
No,
do
but this
not have. We should, huh?
We should.
Because not because the magnolia tree, why they like even the name steel magnolias. The magnolia tree is one of the oldest trees in history.
Well, that would be Louisiana.
Yeah,
That would
it's
be
over
our Louisiana hotels.
It's 100 million years old.
But when we talk about Mason
deserve-
City, we need them in a mason jar.
Yeah, so
Louisiana,
we need the
we want
steel
magnolia.
magnolia cocktail in the
Oh
whole
man, Nancy's
area.
on a roll. She's on a roll.
Yeah,
She wants
because-
her
well,
cocktails.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean it's a great name for a cocktail, and the whole area should have them.
That's
There
it.
you
It's
go.
a great place. It is.
Uh,
I
Your
find
All right.
Magnolias does.
Lisa,
So, ladies-
you should hear the story about how they transformed the hotel, just what they, and how long it took for them to restore the hotel. If she could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So, right on the Park formed in 2005. Took 6 years. We opened in 2011. $20 million renovation to bring the building back to its glory. So, but we do have like the original skylight in there. We have the original lobby floor. So we have a lot of original features in the building.
And it is so grand now, but not being in that time period, but people tell me that it was pretty low class. It had gone down quite a bit, and the renovations were, amazing to bring this back.
It's huge to do. It's such a hard process too, because you want to save stuff. And then now we have modern times. Like, it's like, it's changed a lot now in historic hotels. You can get internet and stuff, but sometimes you can't, like, depending on where you are. So having modern amenities in a historic hotel is such a hard balance to call budget wise. And then how do you keep the balance of integrity? So I'll go to Arlene, since you stayed there. Did you feel that they have that balance?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody, in the room was very comfortable. And, it was unique to see the craftsmanship. I mean, the woodwork and, the patterns in the woodwork and the color palettes and it was just every time you turned a corner, it was something new and different and, really, interesting.
Melissa, is that something that they had to really work on to get Right. I mean, to make it.
They did. As they peeled back, the hotel had become, it was like offices for a while. It became apartments. It was pretty much a pigeon coop for
That's-
years. So as they peeled back the layers, they found the, the color palette and the design and the plaster and things like that. And they even found the bars for the windows of the bank being used as a fence in Clear Lake, which is about 7 miles from us. So, yeah, the skylight was in a house down the street, so owned by Bob McCoy. So that is back in the hotel where it belongs. So a lot of work, heart and soul, but we do have a lot of modern amenities. We have heated bathroom floors and, and Wi-Fi and the Keurigs and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. And you do meetings and weddings. I mean, how cool to do, I think to do a meeting in a place that's creative, like Frank Lloyd Wright stuck to his creativity. And I think that's, we interview so many musicians, artists, architects, those kinds of people. And we are those kinds of people. And it's really hard when you have this creative vision and then box it in, or you're wearing your heart on the sleeve, but he really did it. So when you think about a business meeting in a place like that, doesn't that kind of maybe help the people attending the meeting to have some inspiration of, like, if they really believe something, to stick to their guns and of being creative in a business format? I wonder about that, like going to a place like yours and doing that. When you do a meeting in a creative space, it really helps people to think outside the
I found
box.
it to be very inspiring. I mean, just sitting in the old bank building when we're doing our meetings and doing our banquets and other things, you're looking around at the light fixtures and the details, and you're just feeling, so inspired by the creativity that he had, and what his vision was for making this architectural masterpiece, really. So I for one, just found it very inspiring.
It's attention to detail. And I want to go back, and everyone, historicparkin.com is a website for the Historic Park Inn in Mason City, Iowa. I want to go back to Martha over at the Hotel Bentley. With what you have as a hotel, I know you have some residencies, like private residences attached to, but with the hotel itself, do you have people come in and do business meetings and groups too?
Oh my gosh, we do. That is a very staple of the hotel. We have actually 11 meeting spaces.
Wow.
And it can be from, oh yes, right now we actually have a conference in house, which is animal control. And they're actually occupying the same area, which was Joe Galin's area, which is our commander's trio. And they're in from Sunday through Friday. We do lots of conferences, but we also do lots of weddings. So we do weddings in a ballroom, but we also do let me repeat that. We do weddings in the lobby, and then we do receptions in our ballrooms, which is awesome.
Well, that lobby is awe-inspiring when you walk in that.
It is, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
And then, we have that mural that's up on the ceiling. The very center of our part there it's original. And then the mural around it was actually done by Bob Dean, which was our previous owner. And it's actually a war scene back to the era that he liked. He actually owned lots of nursing homes back in the day. And so he wanted to when he bought the Hotel Bentley, he wanted to turn it into a nursing home. So he went to the city of Alexandria at the time and presented it to the city council. Well, they said no. He didn't like that idea. So he came back and he stated, okay, I want to tear the thing down. Well, that's how we became part of the Historic Register. So it's amazing.
Wow.
With that right there, he paid $350,000 back in the 90s to put that mural up there. But what it represents is a war scene, and it's to the defiance. He hates the city of Alexandria, so he wanted everyone to know that. But it's an awesome, awesome scene of what he painted up there.
See, well, this is it. Like, you got Frank Lloyd, right? You got him. like people being like, hey, this is what we're going to do. I want to go back up to Bridget Matoyer over at the
Okay.
Steel Magnolia House Bed and Breakfast. Bridget, do you get people coming in for, I don't know if you do elopements and small weddings, or do you get people that will come in and have like their like anniversaries or engagements and have that romance?
Oh, we have a lot of romance. We do not do weddings.
I don't blame you. Okay.
I mean,
That's hard.
That's the biggest ask is someone to do a wedding, and we do not do weddings. We do let brides do come in and take photo shoots, take their bridal pictures there. And romance was what we do. So husbands do anniversaries, and we let flowers and candy in the room. But as far as big parties or anything like that, for private events, we do not do any private events.
Yeah, it's hard. You guys have that,
Can
you
I
know,
just
can
I just say briefly before we let Roger talk about the lodging stuff? We did have the Blush and Bashful event 5 years ago where we recreated the wedding scene from the movie only to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of the movie. So they did have, you know, a recreation of the wedding reception from the movie.
They did.
Magnolia House 5 years ago.
Awesome.
But also the wedding, if you want to go to the actual wedding scene, you go to St. Augustine's, right? The
For the ceremony part, yes, at St. Augustine down by Melrose. Correct.
Yes.
Wow, how fun!
Now listen, Bridget is a Matoyer, like Arlene.
Yeah.
She is. She's a like when I lived in South Africa, we'd say dinkum. It's like for real. Like she's of like, you know, royal blood of Natchitoches. It's amazing.
Well,
Amazing history. So you have to
not royal blood, but I'm a descendant. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's royal blood. You got to go to Melrose Plantation. You got to go there. You know, you got to go there with Melrose House. You got to go over to St. Augustine's. All of it is part of the movie trail. So check that out.
Yes,
and so like we're curtsying and bowing to you, Bridget.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But you know, I don't wear high heels anymore, so it's okay. We can do it. But I want to go back to Roger. Roger has a lot of news, you know, and he always brings up, I got this thing for the podcast. He's awesome. And like I said, we were just so grateful to meet him. And finally, after all our conversations on air with him, like I'm going, hey, I got to run. I got a donkey to take care of. We're okay now, but donkey's away. But Roger, tell us a little bit about this side of it, because the association, can we just kind of backtrack just a hair to let people understand about, like when I talk about the editor of Better Homes and Gardens, seeing this idea, you know, Nancy and I understand this, like our recent road trip, we knew we were going to do it. And then we said, oh, we had someone that wanted us to go do this emergency pet sit. And then our husband has a meeting. We can't do this. I'm like, what are you doing? It's 4th of July. Right. We're going back on the highway. Who cares? Let's go. And there's something about this highway. And when you go through the towns, small, bigger ones,
the architecture,
we understand it.
amazing.
We're so used to we're old magazine people so it kind of brought us back to
Talk about yourself.
No, I mean, we've been doing this magazine for over 26 years and started in print. Nancy had it in South Africa in print. We're old school, on the foot, like old school people. And now we're in this digital age and we've had to go through all of it. But the editor of Better Homes and Magazine got it. And it's something we are so near and dear to. It's like, go to the coffee shop, meet the person, see what it is. And he got it, that bigger vision of what these smaller communities needed in regards to tourism from the whole thing. Because back in the day when you were selling advertising and putting magazines together, you were the traveling person and you heard everyone's story. It's like when and Nancy and I had this conversation the other day. When we traveled, you go and you sit in the back room of a restaurant or a hotel waiting for the manager, and you have to wait for the customer to come in, go out before you get to talk to him. But when you do, you get to hear what's going on in the town. So I'll never, ever stop what I do, because you get to hear the real stuff and be part of change, positive change, and true understanding, more than what you can get in the news, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I feel very connected to the man who kind of said, we have this vision of doing it, because it is not about, it's not this big fancy thing. It's about going to these small towns, actually reconnecting with human beings and places and history and nature. I mean, it's amazing. So can you give us just that insight about him, and then go into the lodging part? Because these people traveling the highway were doing some camping in mosquito places. I'm telling you about the mosquitoes. You want to go to the historic hotels. I'm just saying. Just gonna
Yeah,
big plug on that.
Mr. Meredith was he he was, obviously successful farming was really the magazine at the time that he was really making a lot of money at. And he saw the vision of the other highways in America. Think about this. A lot of people don't think about this part of it. Is travel was changing dramatically at this time. People would go on a trip. What did they do? They took a train. They didn't take any. They didn't take an airplane. There was no airplanes. They were. You might venture somewhere. In a horse and buggy and a wagon. And most of the people that had cars were wealthy. Or it was the reason to have them. And as cars were becoming more popular, they were the Model T and others were becoming more affordable. It was this was new things for people to get out on these highways and roads and see things. So these communities, small and large, when you do research on the highway, that's the one thing you see is how much infighting, I would say a little bit, but how much they wanted the Jefferson Highway. It was so important to them. It was go back to the days of the railroad and put a railroad depot in your town. That was a huge thing. And that was what this was. And the routing wasn't immediately done. It was all these cardinal points. And interesting enough, Alexandria was the smallest cardinal point on the highway, but the route had to go through Alexandria originally. And it just kind of evolved. But back in I've been involved in this project now since about 2013, 2014. And I took a trip in 2017 to decided to take a family trip on the highway. And my son, I think I've told this story before, but my son, didn't really know why we were going on a trip on the Jefferson Highway or this old highway. But he learned to love it. I mean, he enjoyed it, and we. It was an adventure every day, and the goal at that time for me was to stay in historic lodging every night. And I wasn't, I was exploring it at that time. I didn't know all these hotels, and yes, I'd heard of the Park Inn, but I was. We fell in love with it. It was when we were there, and we did other historic lodging groups, people that are not even on the call tonight. And what I found out is it was really something to do. So as we're bringing back this highway, some of the routes to America, if you go on Route 66, yes, a lot of people like to stay in this vintage lodging. Route 66 lodging, much different than this highway. This you get grand hotels and some great, unbelievable bed and breakfasts that are much different and unique because the culture is so different on this route. And so, it is really fascinating that the history and, staying in a chain hotel. Yeah, I can check in and, it's the same.
I'm checking in now.
Brand.
I could
They're
have a
listening.
double
They're
bed.
listening. They're ready to check in. One of the three hotels.
Same bland feel, same bland room. If I get anybody to talk to me about the community, I'm lucky. Here, you can see these ladies here. They're proud of their hotel.
Yeah,
they can talk to
they
you
have the
about the
stories.
history. They
But
can,
it's also, isn't it
and
also a reminiscent of
such a better
reminiscent?
experience.
When you're there, you actually understand the feels of when the
you
highway
get
was
the
created.
feel of the travelers that travel the highway. And
Well,
a lot of times we get really looking at certain areas of time of Jefferson Highway. It's, there's so many different areas. I mean, these highway, yeah, its name was maybe less identified over the year, but it was still a route people traveled, and you get so many different facets of history. And you stay in these bed and breakfasts, these innkeepers are gonna tell you about your home. They're gonna tell you
they
about their
know everything.
community. They're gonna know people. They're gonna tell you a story that you didn't know. You're gonna get it
Yeah.
in these hotels. I mean,
Mhm.
you're gonna get somebody's gonna be in that hotel or in that lobby that's gonna be. You're gonna say, "Hey, where are you from?" And you're gonna get that Americana experience,
Mhm.
and you really.
Very true.
I really encourage people to travel the route going forward. So, as we were looking at ways to increase our tourism, what can we do to really bring this route? One of the great thoughts was let's work on trying to connect an historic trail and evolved into a membership group of these hotels. So we're just in our infancy. For those listening on this podcast, we're just starting this out, and we have 7 right now that have
Awesome.
joined us, and
Yay. Lucky 7.
it is going to grow. And with Arlene's efforts and our friends in Natchitoches, they're leading the pack right now, but we are gathering. We have a lot of great places that are on this route. They're going to be part of this trail, and we encourage others to join us because I think this is going to make this a unique part of our um, renaissance and coming back as people can. And we have now started on our website, still in its construction phase, but we have a lodging portal there, and we have named these 7 and provided links to their pages. We'll be updating that with a little bit of information about the history. I'm trying to get where I can an historic photo back in the time period and also one today so people can get a feel for that when they see it. And
Mhm.
we
That's
are
awesome.
going to market this a little bit one by one with on-site information about. So when you go there, you may have eventually a brochure that you can hit a QR code and say, okay, where's my next stop on this deal? And
Mm.
it's in wherever. And we're excited about it. I think it has great potential. And again, whenever I travel, the first thing I look for is, okay, where on this route can I stay? And we've had the great pleasure of being in Mason City for our really successful conference there. And the Park Inn was a part of that. And I knew that would be because I stayed in the Park Inn on that same trip. I knew that was a place that needed to be a conference site, and I knew immediately that the Park Inn was where we wanted to be.
Mhm.
And my travel going to Alexandria, and I've never stayed there, but I've been in that beautiful building, and I can't wait to be at our conference next year. And I hope
That's
others on this call will want to do that too because
and everyone.
it's
That's
an
And I
experience.
totally
April
agree.
24th. April 24th.
That's
So
exactly
you can.
right.
And
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
in Natchitoches. We had a great conference there, but we are going to do what we did in Iowa, Lisa. We're going to do a caravan pre-air conference, probably from Shreveport. And one of the overnights is going to be in the great city of Natchitoches. And
Awesome.
we hope to bring our travelers on that caravan
What
to
do you mean just one
stay.
night? You can't just stay one night in
Well,
Natchitoches.
they could come back on their way back and stay again.
But
I'm
they're
just
coming to
saying.
see.
You
But we're
gotta have
going
another meet by the
to.
next day.
We
You
hope to
know.
fill up these another lodging in the great town of Natchitoches. And this is um, uh, what we want to do. So anyway, that's kind of a brief overview.
I
of
think
the-
I just want to say April is going to be so amazing.
Mhm.
And we have not been to Natchitoches in April. We tend to go to Natchitoches in July. It kind of happens.
Yeah.
We're missing our date. In fact, right now we should be there, Arlene, but we'll see you for the
You
Christmas
better make your
festival.
reservations.
I
When
know.
say
Chris-
Mhm,
if
mhm.
filming Know Your House, you better put your reservation in now.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
right.
know that.
April.
I know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
everybody,
April,
for
yes.
everybody,
Yes.
for everybody.
Yes.
Honestly, look at these sites it's like they're limited. It's not like
Mhm.
checking
Yeah.
into a brand hotel and they can move your room or whatever and
You know,
do it directly. I'm just gonna say, we are all
Mhm.
fans of these little things where we can just go book online and not talk to the hotels. I just want to just remind people that if you connect with the hotel directly, you can make changes to your stay better than what you can over these what we call OTAs, over the OT whatever. It's like
I totally agree with you.
I just want
Yes.
everyone to go book
Yes,
direct,
Direct.
and
Book direct
they
when
will
you
work with
can.
you, because you can't even add an extra family member. You can't extend your stay. You can't move your room. You can't do
Right.
Can't do
anything
anything.
unless you contact unless you book with the
hotel.
hotel directly. So
Well,
I just have a little thing.
on our website, we will have direct contact phone numbers and links to
Yeah.
the
Sweet.
specific
Good.
hotels. So that will.
Thank you,
Yes.
because that is a
Thank you,
very
Roger.
important thing. That's
As
an important
travelers,
thing.
we've learned that,
Do
I-
not
I-
do it.
Yeah. I want to say this, when you stay in these historic places, so different than other places, just because the architecture, and it made me started to study a bit of architecture.
Mhm.
then-
I was gonna,
and
yeah.
yeah, and you can start to see, like I see, when the corners turn up, it means something. Like
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
a building, when it turns up, it means something. When it turns down, it means something. When it's straight, it means something. And so I got curious about this, and I started to see what kind of people built this and what their belief
Yeah.
was when they built it. So it's fascinating, as opposed to a square box.
Yeah, it
Most
is.
definitely.
And
Most
I
definitely, that
think-
makes a difference.
Yeah.
I think there's, like I said, on Route 66, a lot of these old motels from the past are being revitalized and people can stay there. But they don't have the unique elements, I don't think, that these hotels do. I mean, every one of these I've stayed in, they got a different story to tell.
Yeah.
You go up into St. Paul, you stay at the big hotel up there, and they got all these gangster stories. And I mean, it's just amazing. The differences is just all there. And we talked about Alexandria with his military history.
Exactly.
There, it's just you really get to get that Americana experience, and we really feel like that this is part of the deal where as we move forward and we start embracing international tourism. The international tourism
they're
is
here.
going so big on Route
They're here.
66 right now.
Yeah.
They fly into Chicago. They want to see a true America. I'll
Go to the heartland.
I'll just say I think you'll get a better experience, really, by taking this route. And yes, of
Well,
course,
then
you
you
wanna
it's a-
fly in
Yeah,
New
you have to-
Orleans,
you
fly
have
into
to
New
have it-
Orleans.
No,
and-
you have
and
to have a
move up,
TV show. You have to
Yeah,
have a
but no,
TV show.
yeah.
Nancy wants a TV show, but
But
it's
No,
two
because
different
that
things,
is-
because we've done
That is
both.
that's why Route 66 got so popular. The
As a
TV
TV
show
show.
was oh
well, they got a
God,
song too. They got a song.
Yeah,
Oh, but you have
Marty,
a ton of music
Marty
on your highway.
Milner and
You know,
oh,
and I'm not saying
uh,
anything
George-
negative to Route
and
66 travelers because
George
I've traveled.
Maharis and Marty Milner in a red convertible with the top
Yes.
down.
But
Well,
but
I
yeah.
traveled
Oh,
it.
I love
It's a great American. It is a great American
Yeah.
experience in place.
Yeah,
But
so-
it
it's
is
no,
completely different. It's
It's
completely
different.
different.
and,
Yeah.
It
and these
is.
same travelers are going Route 66 and say, "Hey, I've done that. What can I do different?"
But I
look
think-
at
the other
us.
part.
Look
But
at us.
I was thinking about this today when, we did this recent road trip and try to quickly put things together because we did this road trip on the fly, and
Mhm.
recorded stuff on the fly, as you can hear on our podcast on that, completely on the fly. But the reality is, I was thinking about this today. When you think about a road trip across America, the first thing you think is across from east to west or west to
Mhm.
east. You never think about up, down, all around,
No.
Yeah.
and the up, down, like I have a friend who cycled the perimeter of the country. And the only way he did it was doing it almost like he looked at it like if you look at the map of America and the little man in the map fits in like you can see a little man if you look at the highway. Little man, our friend used to write books like that of showing the little man to teach kids the states. But
Mhm.
It's
our friend
cool.
looked at it like if you look at the map of America and look at the center, the Midwest going down, if you look at the Jefferson Highway, that's almost like your breastbone and two lungs, right?
Mhm.
So it's almost like here's the heartland. That is the heartland.
Well, we
And
cross so many of these trails too. I mean, you can
you
link
do.
into them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you're going from Minnesota, which can get like we were part of the trail
The Lincoln
in March.
highways in
We were up
Iowa.
there. You could go from crazy
Yeah,
snow,
exactly
to
right.
swampy New Orleans and bayous.
The pine to palm. That's what it's called. It's
But
like
I mean, it's
vacation.
serious. It's
And
serious. Like, yeah. So
It's awesome.
And once you get into this, you'll be as crazy as Nancy and I are. And I'm not going to call Roger crazy because he's the president, but Arlene kept knocking us over the head. Like, girls, you got to go. You got to go. We're like, yeah, we will. And now,
right now,
stuck.
I can tell you, we've been doing this podcast now for 14, 15 months. I might be longer. I can't remember, but the time period right now, there is more excitement on different places in the route than I've seen. And I think it's only going to get more. We got a lot of momentum right now in Texas, which we didn't have 2 years ago. We're about ready to do an event in Texas in September. That may be our next podcast.
Oh, cool. Let's do Texas.
And we've got stuff going on. We got an event in Missouri this weekend, a music.
See, listen to this. All these events. And they're up on jeffersonhighway.org, everyone. If you go there, I mean, you guys, I remember when we started the podcast, those events were there. So everything's moving. It's this revival. And you either get in on it now or wait till the end. And then, dude, you're not part of the ground.
Yeah. And that's what I'm telling people is
like, get on it now.
The communities that become a destination, embrace us, become a member. Get interested in it. Find little things. I had a call recently from the farthest part of the United States in North and Thief River Falls, Minnesota, and they're wanting to put up something there. The Jefferson Highway. I've talked to people in the last few weeks in Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri. It's really exciting, and this part of it, this lodging is really a great part of it. And I want to thank Arlene for helping.
Arlene is amazing.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Arlene. Arlene, when she wants you to do something, she got us on this highway. And she's so sweet. She's like, no, you didn't have, it doesn't take much for us to go on a road, but she does invite you over to her house and say, I'm making you some gumbo. And then like you'll do anything afterwards.
I want to thank the three ladies here for seeing our vision, becoming members.
Yes.
We hope to be a strong partner as we move forward. Again, this is only in infancy. It's only going to get better, but the ones that are on the ground floor here are important to us, and they're important to our future.
You're grandfathered and grandmothered in.
Yeah, good things take time.
Yeah.
Other things are a flash in the pan. So
and nothing happens without people working together. Exactly. It's all about that. Mm-hmm. So I love it. And the highway is about people working together. As you know, Nancy and I really are on the road 100%. And, we really do it. And it's sometimes not the easiest and everything, but I will tell you, we meet everyone from all sides of everything. And the one thing that travel does is connect people on their level of actual pureness, their pure core.
It broadens your mind.
And when you think about a highway, when I think about a highway like Jefferson Highway, it's
fun.
like when we're driving through, I mean, we were driving at sunrise, it's like, can we pull over here? Oh, let's just do it. Can we really drive here? Oh, let's just do it. Don't get shot. We did see a pheasant, by the way.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we did. That was awesome.
but we did, we ended up in places and we're like, uh-oh, because we were really being stupid. We were just like, let's go. But we did follow the Jefferson Highway map, but we kept detouring.
Yeah,
because
and we
it's all
talked to
about that
Thomas.
corridor. But
We
when I
talked
think
to
about
Thomas Jefferson. Like we were
well, we
asking
talked to everybody.
Yeah, we were
We did.
talking to Thomas Jefferson
We
and saying,
talked to the
"Did
Big
you
Bopper when we
know?"
drove past the
Yeah,
Mason City
Oh,
line.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we're saying,
talked
"Did
to
you know
Buddy.
they named a highway after
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
And you should
so-
travel it."
but when I think of a corridor and everybody uniting together to do something, it moves mountains versus all the crud we see in the world right now of arguments and drama. When people get together to do something and unite, amazing things
Cool.
happen. And travel opens eyes, ears, hearts, souls.
Well, you
History
learn
comes
so
alive.
much.
It's something for
Yes.
our future generations. And it is also the livelihood. I look at it. I know that, half of the farmers on that route are doing extra things to bring in income. So I know tourism is the way it always has been. Responsible tourism, which is nature and history. Those two things, and the arts. Three things, excuse me. Those three things educate. They are light-footed on a community. They do not bring the Disneyland. We talk about Disneyland, doesn't bring the Disneyland banging on your door with commercial stuff. This is the right stuff that communities, small communities can handle, balance, and flourish with. This is a very important thing that is going on with the Jefferson Highway. Having the hotels, the historic hotels be part of it, those B&Bs, inns, all of that is a huge thing. Having the restaurants, everybody being part of it, the visitor bureaus, chambers, everybody coming together to create a corridor of happiness. So there it is. That's my peaceful ending of this show.
Well, I would like to see a ghost walk.
Very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you, everyone. Nakanish.com. Okay. And then I want to give thank you. I want to give Martha, thank you for joining us. Go to visithotelbentley.com. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridget, for joining us over at the Steel Magnolia House Bed and Breakfast.
Yeah, cool.
SteelMagnoliaHouse.net is the website. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining us. And Melissa's over at the Historic Park Inn in Mason City. You can go to historicparkinn.com. Thank you, Roger. As always, go to jeffersonhighway.org. And we're here every fourth Thursday. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Darlene.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.